What can I say? Welcome to another technically difficult installment of our shitty little show, but we're going to step it up. This is classic me and Kelly. We're always going to give you a little extra, but it's like, we take a couple steps forward, but we're taking steps back. We had such BS going into this, so that's the negative. Kelly, how are you, first of all?
I'm good. I'm trying to get my shit together, but we'll see. But that's what we love so much about this show. We relate so personally to it. And there's always crazy shit that happens in life because life, let's face it, can be so difficult. And I mean, today's special guest is so amazing. And we are so thankful that she had the will and the patience to bear with us for this little podcast. Welcome, welcome.
Julie
Thank you
Klausner, the
so much for
creator.
having me. Yes, sorry, I'm stepping over your intro with me. My apologies.
Oh,
Take your
no.
time. Do your thing.
Seriously,
That's all I was going to say. Julie Klausner, the creator of Difficult People, a show that a lot of friends, when I tell them about it, they're like, I thought the characters were a little mean. And I'm like, I've never seen a mirror that looks so much like the bullshit that I go through. They didn't seem mean. They seemed sweet. Welcome, Julie Klausner, to Difficult Podcasters. What's your first impression of our show and how the heck are you doing today?
The first impression is terrific, and I'm just getting by, doing my best.
Clearly, she is. Yes, we are. I mean, we just finished the entire series for the umpteenth time.
Yes,
and we love it. Personally, I feel like it still relates so well to what's happening today. It's funny, and I would love to see Billy and Julie walking around in today's climate with just how things have shifted a little bit when they were kind of the first ones to call a lot of the stuff out that's actually coming to life more so in your face now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I do want to thank both of you. It is so meaningful to me that you guys have, spent so much time poring over this, my baby, my life's work, which is this show. So I really appreciate, how thoughtful you've been in recapping these. And it means so much to me to have fans like you. So thank you so much for all the attention and passion you've spent on something that, really I put my whole pussy into back in the day. So thank you both so much for appreciating it. And yes, I like to say, that we were canceled before Kevin Spacey was, which is unfortunately true, but we are absolutely a show ahead of our time. And that's something, I suppose. It's not it's not an Emmy or $1 million in the bank, but it's definitely something I do value and take very seriously.
That's the best way to describe it. The show has a cult following, but beyond that, it has all these talking points that were so early, like it was ahead of the party, very early on with this type of humor. My question to you about making a television show and it ending up on Hulu, were there a lot of no's that you got in regards to like, oh, this show's too negative, or that's not the kind of humor that people are going to enjoy? How open and receptive was this show before it got to Hulu?
Well, I don't think anyone ever really tells you why they pass on something. You just, your phone just doesn't ring. So I was so excited that Hulu bought it that I don't think I really concerned myself with why the others didn't. It was just always so exciting. And frankly, I'm always surprised whenever I'm not rejected. So I was just thrilled that they wanted to do it. And, along with greenlighting it came this like fabulous, once in a lifetime kind of appetite for exactly what I was saying on the page and what I wanted to say on the show. And they were completely on board, which was just such a thrill. So negativity and all, I felt completely accepted, supported. As long as you're funny, you can get away with murder. And Hulu really let us do precisely that.
Yeah, early Hulu. There was nothing on Hulu at the time. I mean, now there's huge shows on Hulu. There was barely what's the one show that's super popular?
The Handmaid's Tale?
The Handmaid's Tale was probably on a little bit at the same time, but there wasn't a lot to choose from.
Yeah, not very funny. The clitorectomies are not really laugh riots on that show, sadly.
No. But I was really surprised at how far the show actually went, and I loved it. But the one thing that we've talked about a lot on this show is just how every character, you never really singled out as a token character or representing anything. They were all just people living this life together, and the way that they interacted, it wasn't like, oh, I need to fill a quota. It didn't feel that way, the way you feel it sometimes in a lot of shows. And I really appreciated that, and I really loved that so much about the writing and how it all came together. And I mean, how were you able to do that?
First of all, thank you. That's such a beautiful compliment.
Mhm.
And I take that, I really take that to heart. I think when it comes to making things better, diversity only helps. The more voices you have in a writer's room or in any sort of room, the better the thing is going to be, because you're hearing from different sides of the situation. And so I that's just sort of something I believe. So I am very excited that that is on screen at all. And it's just, I don't know. I think if something's important to you, you do it well. I think that whether that's a matter of, oh, I'm just starting out in this like assistant job and I don't really know how to do it well. If you're really enthusiastic and you're really excited, you'll take initiative, you'll figure out ways. I think there's just sort of nothing that can replace that. And then in addition, like I just grew up watching a lot of television. So I've seen things done well and I've seen things done poorly. And I think I'm just always consciously aware of what I don't want to do. I think, traditionally there's like a specific kind of creator and they will think of women as kind of sex objects and trying to get the audience on board to like, wow, wouldn't it be great to like be able to fuck those identical twins? And, growing up watching Three's Company and stuff, I remember being a little girl and thinking like, oh, is that what people want? And the answer is no. It's what those writers certainly wanted, or whoever wrote that episode and whoever greenlit it probably thought that was like a common thought. But empathetically, it was very unsuccessful. So I think my, part of my life's work is to represent things that I've thought, but I haven't seen represented. So that includes like, making fun of vulvas or, feeling like I would love to have a three-way with two guys instead of a
Yes.
traditional kind of girl and a guy scenario that, is perhaps a fantasy that somebody who does not look like me may have had at one point, in the business of making comedy, not erotica, which is also a very strange notion when you think about it. Having your laughs on the same side of the equation as an erection is always something very bizarre to me. But I as soon as I had the opportunity, I wanted to say things that I guess I hadn't seen represented as much, because that's also a big, not to be like comedy professor, but a big part of comedy is something that's surprising. And when you hear the same jokes over and over again, or you hear the same point of view over and over again, the odds are that you're a couple steps ahead. And I, in the service of like surprising people, in the service of doing something unusual, it was an exciting opportunity to put things out there that could be dirty or risque, but from a different point of view. But then beyond dirty and risque, I also, I'm coming from a place of feeling marginalized and maybe not marginalized, but I'll say disenfranchised. I'll say
other
that
yeah.
I've always been on the side of the underdog. I've always felt like the underdog. I always will feel like the underdog. So to be able to represent that authentically, I think a lot of things come out that perhaps aren't intentional, but ultimately, at least in spirit are on the right side of things as far as representing, folks that generally aren't represented as much. So
that's why we took to it. You know what I mean? Like I look at the episode Italian Piñata, and just even like the layers of the coming out story, and then you start to look at yourself in the mirror and like where you fit into that. And I'm like, damn, I've never had a show that kind of like just opened my mind to things that sometimes we're told to just, you go handle that on your own. And then when you want to come and join everyone, you can watch a regular television program that's funny, starring Kevin Hart or something.
Yes, Kevin Hart is every man. Well, no, it's or Kevin James, did you say? Did you mean Kevin James?
I said Kevin Hart just as
you
a
meant
throw
Kevin
out.
James. Anyone named Kevin, really. We'll just say anyone named
Yeah.
Kevin.
They're all terrible, yeah.
I mean, I think that like sunlight, as they say, is a great disinfectant. And I also think that comedy is a really effective way of processing things like guilt and shame and things that are secrets. And as you talk about them and you expose them to oxygen, you find that not only are you feeling less terrible, but there are also people that you are able to connect with because they can either empathize or sympathize, or at least find something funny in the shock of someone talking about something that they don't usually talk about. So that is always, in my opinion, like something that's positive to do, at least process wise. Even if the destination isn't ideal, at least you'll get something out of it, trying to get there.
Can you go
absolutely.
back? Can you go back and watch episodes, or does it feel a little different for you? Yeah, can you go back and see them? Do you still get the joy in it?
I don't go back and I don't really revisit my writing or my acting just because I don't, I don't really like watching myself, but I also can think of, oops, sorry, there's a siren.
Yeah, somebody is dead right
No,
this
it's just it's just Manhattan. I live across the street from a fire station, so it's just par for the course. Yeah, someone could just be cooking. Yeah, I'm not crazy about revisiting my work, because when it comes to acting, I'm usually just looking at how pretty I wish I were, and when it comes to writing, I'm just thinking about what I should have done instead. But I am able, yeah, I'm always editing and I'm always criticizing. But that said, I can always take pride in a joke or a line that
I like when Julie Kessler said, they were like, "Is she a dancer?" She's like, "Is it the arch in my back?" And then there was another Food and Weight issue one where she says something like, "Oh, you're voluptuous." Arthur says, "You're voluptuous." I'm not Tyne Daly.
Yeah.
Those ones stick with me even.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that they're bubbling around in the zeitgeist somewhere. So yes, I'm always excited to hear a quote or a joke, and I definitely take pride in that. So yeah.
Yeah, we definitely, I mean, there's such great ones, and even in this last episode of the series, there was like the revisiting back on how Billy and Julie met, and kind of like just the trip to Los Angeles within itself just cracked me up, because it reminded me of my first trip to Los Angeles when I first moved out there, looking at the Silkwoods or the Oakwoods, should we say, and hiking and all the crazy people that you meet, that somebody's always trying to give you their business card and life coach you, and all, like, just the play on all of it was so well done and just funny. And it really made me reminisce about those almost 20 years ago when I first ventured out in that little crazy town.
I love how nonchalant Julie was, or Billy, one of them. They were like, "Oh, we'll just go drop our bags off. It's a 5-mile drive. We could do whatever." And growing up in Southern California, like, this is why my 7 years in New York is just magic, because I always enjoyed just frolicking in the city, doing what you do. It was so fantastic. LA, I always have a love-hate, because you really are limited. And when I saw that 7 hours difference, I was like, see, people need to talk about that. I hate when they say LA's so great for the weather. I'm like, but does the weather outweigh being in traffic, ingesting smog, and in Julie's case, getting a sunburn?
I was always the sunbird, always, forever the sunbird person.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just an opportunity to roast LA, because it's really the only other place I know besides New York. So this is sort of our version of Annie Hall, a little, to take it to the West Coast and use all the LA material that I got.
Yeah, and this was the first time we saw
guest stars too.
Well, we saw Amy Poehler. What was her involvement in the show? She was an executive producer? She
was a very hands-on producer for the show from its inception to its completion. And she has remained incredibly close to the show and to me. And she came up with the title of the show. She helped shape it from the spec script that I originally sent her into what it eventually became. She was with us pitching. She gave notes on every script, every outline, casting, everything. She was there every moment of the way. Very, very, very involved, and just a complete, absolute incredible. She made it happen as much as any of us did.
Going off what Kellie was saying, guest stars. I mean, going back and watching it the way we did, because we watched it in 2015 when it aired. Regular, like right on time. And then during the pandemic, it was like a perfect time to like join this project. Kellie and I have known each other since 2003. We worked in radio in Los Angeles that many years ago. We're dinosaurs. And going back, I kind of, when you watch it step by step, you don't realize how many people you brought into the show. Did that come a little easier with the openness of well, how did that happen actually?
We have friends that liked the show or liked us and agreed to do it. So we were very lucky around the, celebrities and actors that we knew and were willing to take part in it. And, it was definitely, it added a lot to the show. And I think in a lot of ways, it was sort of like it kept it on the air to some extent. But, I've just always been very lucky that people in the business have liked the material. So if they're fans, they're willing to do it. And that was really, really cool and really great.
I love how Martin Short says something to Billy, and Billy's like, "Oh my God, he knows my comedy. Does he know my act?" And Martin Short goes, "Oh my God, do you have an act? Well, if you do, you shouldn't."
Yeah, Marty, I believe, yeah, but there's no question Marty improvised that. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they're also great.
Living legend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just even in this last episode, there were so many great pop-ups from the greeting at the hotel at the apartment complex in LA. I mean, that was just amazing.
Everybody's blonde in the LA episode. All the cameos they're all blonde actors.
Yeah.
With the plastic face. Willem was in this episode too. I know you watch a lot of Drag Race.
All blonde actors. They were all Amy, Sally Kellerman.
Yeah. And the hostess, who I her name is escaping me, but I've recognized her from other things too. And the restaurant with like the bread section and the no bread section, just like all was just like so funny to watch that. But just one of the things that we talk that we talk about a lot too is just how even with some of the messages of what these characters go through may seem so superficial on the surface of it. Once you dig into it, there's such big things that they're dealing with, because it's like we see Julie and Marilyn that are helping. She's finally helping her mom do something, and that relationship has always been so interesting. And watching the two of them be selfish in the ways that they get from each other, and it conflicting, is like the way it played out was always so interesting to me, because I think everybody kind of has something like that with their mother. So being able to it just Marilyn's always all about Marilyn, but Julie is also all about Julie, but in a very different way. Yes. So to see them two come together, and she's actually saying like, I'm scared, I need help, and still in her selfish little way of accepting the help, but it still like works. And I think it was kind of nice to see that camaraderie there.
It's always my favorite thing when Julie and Marilyn bond. It makes their conflicts more interesting, and it's just it's a very, very real relationship. I love Andrea. Like I love working with her. Every scene I had with her was just a total joy, and there are just very authentic emotions that have nothing to do with being snarky or nothing to do with show business or nothing to do with pop culture references. That are just two people who are very damaged trying to connect, and they're both who they are because of each other. And I really loved playing everything with her. Even when we fight, there was just so much love between those characters.
Yeah, they ultimately were like kind of aiming to please each other in some weird way, but there was a lot of selfishness, so you have to weed that out. I like the way they came together in the birthday episode where Julie had felt neglected, but in reality, they're always sort of trying to connect. It just that's the hardest thing in real life. We have that where you love people, family members, but you just can't connect. I mean, even in the pandemic, I've went through a little bit of that, and it's like, gosh, it's so sad that like you could be a family member, but things aren't really clicking, and that's a weird place to be in. So to see it through their eyes, and they almost like one up each other in a way sometimes too. I don't know who I could say is more selfish, Julie or Marilyn. Marilyn is just she just knows everything. And even in stress, she maintains. She gets a terrible haircut.
Yeah, somebody got that as a tattoo recently. I have, someone. I put the tattoo on my Instagram. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I absolutely love it.
We actually had her as a guest on our one of our
amazing.
one of our
Yeah, it
early
was
episodes. It was odd, not odd, but it's like unbelievable how the work could touch you that much. And yeah, as soon as we saw that, we're like, let's get her on the show and see like why she was driven to do
I
that.
am completely obsessed and beyond flattered. It's
Mhm.
absolutely incredible. I love it so much.
Yeah.
and that
If
was
you
such
get
a
a
great
tattoo, if you
episode.
get a tattoo of me or of something from my show, I will get on a FaceTime with you. So I'll put that out there.
There you go. That's better
Yeah.
than Cameo. There you go.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
But that's when I mean it's just obviously it touched us in so many ways that why we're doing this, but just even like with Billy and his whole dad issue, the way he had that bonding with Nate, and then you see even him with his brother, you see, and you and Arthur, like Julie's character with Arthur, and that coming together when she finally realizes how much she actually does love him and gets that appreciation of all the things that he does, and you all these quirky relationships that you see underneath the comedy and the snarkiness that comes out, all these beautiful like partnerships that all come together. Even everybody at the cafe will
Yeah.
claim to hate each other, but they all love each other in some
Well, I don't know
way.
that they like Matthew though. They seem
Yeah.
to always find
no,
a way.
yeah.
But
Well,
it's
he
kind of a
does-
love-hate, I think.
He
Yeah.
doesn't even know how to exit a door. So
Yeah.
even if you do say something, what's it to him?
Yeah, he's a horrible person.
But so great. And I
Um,
mean, and that character was just played beautifully.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
by
wrote
Cole
that,
Scola,
wrote
yeah.
that for Cole. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Amazing.
Okay.
Mhm.
His
That's amazing.
monologues were so funny. Jib jab and
Yeah.
oh, is that an urn? Is that your parent?
Yeah.
All
Oh.
the random stories, like all these
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
things
Matthew
that
has a
came
colorful
out.
backstory.
And quite possibly the best one, he used to be with Vanessa Williams. He just turned in his rosary and beads and gave away his cargo shorts and came to the big city where dreams
Yeah,
are made of.
That's my favorite episode is Strike Rat.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
it was such
Yeah.
a great one. Yeah, that was just hilarious to
They're
see a
making
little
out.
bit more of his
It's
backstory.
really, yeah. Oh, there's Matthew contains multitudes.
And it had a lot in that episode because that's the one where everyone was kind of using something that was so shitty, the Pence conversion, and they're all maneuvering it to work for them, even Matthew's ex. So it was quite an episode. A lot of layers on that one.
Yeah, everything connected really. I was just really satisfied with how everything connected, and it was very economical, and all the stories really fit well together. And I just don't think there's any when there's not a weak link in those stories, I just get really, really happy. I'm really, really proud of that one. I like that one, Italian Piñata. Those are probably my two favorites.
Do fans have like something that they can, like I'm bringing up for me Italian Piñata?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let me just.
I was going to ask if fans have a specific thing that they always bring to you.
Yeah, Italian Piñata and Patches are probably like the two biggest fan favorites.
Okay.
Yeah. Love it.
Thinking about this episode, the Silkwood, though, we do have a little bit of like learning more about Arthur. And it feels like from the last episode, we learned that through his ayahuasca trip, that he is really developing that Julie is his purpose in some ways. Is that kind of what you were getting out of it? Because
absolutely.
This next episode, when he's trying to make his case for his TBS job, he tries to channel in on all these personalities, but really the personality that's going to get the job done is going to be somebody that we want to call selfish, Julie Kessler, but she's not. She actually has a lot of great intention, and it was so great to see that that's what did it for him. He had the big balls when it was time, and it was through Julie who sort of pushed that to him, which I thought was great.
I think Arthur is very different from Julie in that Arthur's job exists for him to live out his personal life. His job is sort of just something he does, that he can come home to someone that he loves. And I think Julie's job is her personal life. I think that she loves Arthur because Arthur helps support her while she's pursuing her dreams. And in a way, the love of her life is Billy. So Arthur really exists as someone who can coexist with her best friend and also her career. So that's definitely one reason why they are balanced out.
He would chime in, and then Julie would be like, excuse me, the soulmates are talking.
Exactly.
But it was nice.
But finding that person that accepts you and all that comes with you, that relationship shows every facet of that, is
Yeah.
really having someone that truly accepts you, your life, and everything that comes with it to merge together. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And they have their ups and downs. And, when he left for those couple of days and got mad and, the revelations come, but to have someone in your life that truly accepts all of the things about you is so fun to watch play out. And the little nicknames, I love the nicknames.
Thank you.
Where did all
Yeah.
those little nicknames come from?
Just a running Google Doc.
I love it.
Brillo pad. I mean, just everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're all there's a separate list when I was writing the scripts to plug them in.
Yeah. In this episode, we also see. Well, actually, you can take it away, Kelly, if you want to go forward on the recap here.
Oh yeah, and then we also see that Marilyn becomes a very successful book writer now that Julie has stepped in to help her, and we get another glimpse of Veronica, who's amazing. Like Lucy Liu is always like such a great character to see, and her Andy Cohen appearance. I mean, she steals that show just like she steals everyone's show.
Yeah.
She's telling, putting words in his mouth, and it's a lovely thing to see.
Yeah. Marilyn's a star.
But I love that her favorite part of writing the book was to raise her rates and getting her hair done.
Absolutely.
On this episode, another thing that really touched me was that before Julie did actually go out to LA is just the fact that they're having his going away party. He takes emotion by the guy that he was dating, is kind of giving him his own medicine. But it's like, again, Julie, which we like to call selfish, she picks up, like she's so swift, and she walks outside. And I just really identified to those little outside, walk and talk. I mean, it wasn't a walk and talk per se, but a New York City street moment where all of the best life is usually had. Sure, going out is fun. Sure, being in your apartment is fun, all the things. But your best communication between friends, in my opinion, like I said, I spent about 7 years collectively there, was always that. And I loved the way they kind of fronted at the beginning, because they just wanted to keep it like, let's not talk about our emotions. But I loved the way they drew it out of each other. And it's like, I don't want to leave you. And then it became funny too, because it's like, how am I going to find another hag? And it was like, how am I going to find another gay? Oh, God forbid, and that connection and that communication, when you get it, you hold on to it tight, so you could act nonchalant, like, oh, it's okay, he's going to leave. But really, you don't want that, your life changes.
I mean, without the love of Billy and Julie at the center of the show, there would be nothing. I mean, it's the foundation of the whole show. So as long as Billy and Julie really love each other and the audience knows that, then there's pretty much nothing that we couldn't do.
Mm-hmm. And now you two working together. This was not your first time working together, correct? You guys had worked on a writing project at one point?
I was hired to be a writer on Billy on the Street, and Billy and I had met each other, and we were sort of mutual fans of each other's work from, the early days of the internet and making YouTube videos and all the shit I don't fucking remember I was doing, but I was doing some stuff, and he liked my stuff, and I thought his videos were fucking brilliant. And when he got a show on Fuse, the original incarnation of Billy on the Street, I was hired to write for it, and we got to know each other as I wrote for subsequent seasons of Billy on the Street. So I had an idea. I said, I have an idea for a pilot where the two of us play best friends. He said, cool. And, that was the rest is herstory.
Yeah, that's all it took for me. It literally took, okay, she's the writer, one of the writers on Fuse's Billy on the Streets. I wasn't really a Billy on the Streets. Like, I didn't have to watch it every single episode per se. But just hearing, like, let's see what this is about. And I was like on it. Episode 1, I was calling Kelly. I was like, Kelly, you've got to watch this show. Like this is very, very warm.
Yeah, he's hilarious. There's no one like Billy Eichner. He's the funniest guy around.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And it's so great that, more people are actually coming to realize what we've all already known. And he's having, with his, rom-com that's coming out and all these great things and the Lion King stuff, and just seeing his face more and more and more. It's just been so awesome.
Nobody's funnier than Billy Eichner. He's a force with which to be reckoned.
Real quick, can you tell me about another collaborative thing that you have within your podcast? Because this is, if you're not listening to this, they just celebrated their 100th episode not too long ago. It's with Forever Dog, Double Threat podcast. Tell me about just like collaborating with people that have been longtime friends of yours and how rewarding it has been.
Well, I mean, there's nothing like it, right? I mean, there's nothing better than making your friends laugh, and if you can get paid for it, I mean, I don't know, but it's just one of the few things that doesn't feel like work. Hanging out with my friend Tom Sharpling, who has been doing a radio show since the friggin' 90s, and I just look up to him so much. And I did my own podcast, but I was absolutely so influenced by him and continue to be. And it's just a dream come true to be working with him, considering just how, he's just such a giant to me, podcasting, broadcasting, comedically. He's just like influenced the way I think, the way I joke, how comfortable I am with myself being cranky and negative and accepting that. And we've been friends for decades. So this is a extension of that. And it's just the two of us really just being goofy and stupid and silly and making each other laugh every week. And if other people laugh, great. But if not, we're still going to do it. So that's sort of our philosophy.
That must be a difference, or actually tell me if it is. When you're writing Julie Kessler, the character, you could be as mean as you want or as whatever, but it's through a character.
Yeah.
Now, when you're doing your podcast, and I've told Kellie off, when we're done with our show, I'm like, oh my God, I loved our show, but I feel really like I drew out so much like hostility because we're just, matching the characters. And I always tell myself similarly, if I'm going to do a good job at this, I'm going to show my whole ass. We have got to give it. And when we're looking at Billy and Julie, like we're talking about characters, but then I'm trying to bring it into my personal life of all my failures, and there's plenty. But then it makes you feel so like at the end, I'm like, Kellie, I need like a hug over the phone. I need you need to pick me back up because I just let it all go. And I think you might have went through a little bit of that, maybe.
I mean, I think that if you can make something funny, then you can talk about it. So it doesn't, and then, conversely, like if it's funny, then you can get away with talking about pretty much anything, or you can get away with being really mean. As long as people are laughing, they're kind of, they won't have a problem with it.
It's true. We've been laughing at Kellie's haircut. When I first met her in 2003, she had the worst haircut ever. And I just thought that's how they were doing it in Texas. Here comes this Texas girl walking, overcompensating is what she was doing.
Looks great. I'm sure.
No, Julie. No. Kellie.
I hated the haircut, but I mean, I did what I could with it. But I had wanted a shoulder length cut, and I got an ear pixie cut instead.
Yeah.
So we have made. So the whole haircut episode, like all of that, it was just like, it was horrific for me. So I had to kind of bring in a bigger personality to make up for my loss of hair.
Well, I'm sure it's only made you stronger.
Yeah.
She stomped through those Clear Channel Los Angeles radio studios. She stomped through like she owned the thing, but it was because secretly she was sad. And that's how we were meeting her. And I was like, I love this girl. She's so fucking confident.
Yeah. No secret sadness, only public.
No. Yeah.
Public facing, attitude.
Totally.
Well, your hair looks great now, so whatever you're doing, keep doing.
Isn't she beautiful?
But it's also like Ronnie loves to tell everybody about like my sexual conquest.
Oh,
so
God.
The 9/11
Julie.
story, the 9/11 episode.
Yeah.
Like going through all the things. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was always very important for me to keep the show sexual. Both of those characters had to be sexual. I'm also never tired of, sort of re-sexualizing gay men and representations. I don't think gay men like have enough sex in film and television. I think that they've sort of been, I don't want to say neutered, but like I think that there's a certain amount of safeness that, trope wise has been sugarcoating the experience of a lot of LGBT characters. And it was always very important for Billy and Julie to say things that were shocking sexually, not just because they're interesting, but because I just wanted that to be represented.
Yeah, I love the way Billy steps in and tells Arthur, in a way, you're shaming even gay men, too. It's like that thing. Like, a straight man could necessarily be promiscuous, cheat on his wife, all the things, and they seem to be somewhat just, we're used to it. But a gay man having a happy and healthy appetite, like, seems like suddenly he's crazy. He's,
yeah,
on the
or
poppers.
That it's degrading to have a dick in your mouth, and what does that say about you wanting your dick sucked? Yeah,
and it's the same for women, though. Like, she handled the trauma of what she was going through the way that she did by pleasuring herself with anyone and everyone. So what? And that brought up such an interesting conversation because it's the double standard. It's okay for you, but it's not okay for me. We can talk about it for you, but we can't talk about it for me. And and we definitely dove into that, and you know, and Ronnie loves to bring it
Oh,
all up over
can
and
I
over and
defend?
over.
Can I defend? Julie, this is how it happened. I accidentally forget because I'm so comfortable with her. It's kind of like how like my little sister's 10 years younger. And as long as she's smart and safe and, you know, good head on her shoulders, I'm always like, you know, go do you. Because, you know, my little sister has earned that. As far as like she's been a good, you know, good head on her shoulders. So with Kellie, same thing. We're very close of friends. We talk about everything. We ping pong, but I didn't realize episode after episode, I kept making it sound like she was the biggest skank.
I mean, whatever. At the end of the day, well, like whatever.
So I stopped doing it because she wasn't. She's not. She's wonderful. Yeah.
No, but it's just funny, but it brings up like it's okay to talk. I mean, if we're comfortable talking about it, the only one that needs to be comfortable with it is me and you. I mean, we know how life is, and that's one of the things that I always took from the show. It's like all the things that you talk about, all the things that you highlight are things that, you know, why are people afraid to bring them up and always so judgy about all these certain things, like not only from that but in all these other ways.
Yes.
So it was, you know, so we play on that a lot with the things that we talk about, and it's great, you know, just it's your life, like, so what, like, who cares?
I love it. Absolutely.
You know, it's gotta go.
Absolutely.
Julie, what
so it's all right, Ronnie.
Yeah, and every time I try to explain it, it makes it worse, and I double down and I
Like,
say,
stop.
I just need to be like, she's my friend. We talk more open. If you can't handle it, just shut up. But I wanted to know, what is your thought process on the fan base that you had that really took to the show, because it really was a great show for show business and trials and tribulations. You know, I'd like to think that all aspects of the show made me feel really comfortable. But I remember there was the line about like, oh, all the people we went to school with are either hosting the Academy Awards or they went to go live, you know, in a suburb with their boring life. I remember feeling like kind of unseen in a lot of ways. Like, sure, I haven't made the big time, but what does that even mean these days? But at the same time, I feel like so many people have dipped off and I can't really communicate with their new life. And I have no problem with that. You know, go have your kids in your suburb life, but that's not for me. But I want to continue to pursue what I pursue. Yes, I'm only 41 years old. I could be doing this for another 5 years, and that's going to be the big year. That, to me, Julie, really connected. Did you get a lot of people that hit you with that too, as far as a fan reaction?
I had people connect to the show in ways that were so profound and personal. And as far as my relationship to the fan base, I love them more than my own family. What can I tell you? If you ever need a place to stay, no, I don't know, but I really do. I love the fans that connected to it emotionally, personally, the ones that just needed it to keep them company, the ones that just needed the distraction of the jokes. But ultimately, those jokes wouldn't be funny unless you had a deeper connection to, you know, the world in which, you know, hopefully I succeeded in creating, which is that there were two friends, soulmates against the world who had each other and were able to commiserate about how lousy everything was just by joking about it. And sometimes that's all you need, is just one person that gets you. And if you have that, you're really lucky. So I was always thrilled that people either saw themselves in it or connected to it in a way that it was able to be the cool friend that they needed in the moment. But no, every time someone, you know, received resonance, I was just on cloud nine. That's the idea. And I'm not looking to connect with everybody, but the people that I was able to connect with, it's beyond meaningful to me.
Yeah, it puts a chuckle on your face. Then it makes you put on your big boy pants and just keep at it. But, you know, if you don't see that from anything, you do feel like you're a little odd. You're like, why am I still pursuing this? But then it's at the end of the day, if this is what you love to do, this is what you should do. And that's why it worked for me. Is there any comments that you have ending the Silkwood? And it had a nice, it was a finale. At that point, do you have any knowledge that the show is ending? Like, does it feel like a final moment for you? And what were you trying to get out of the ending of the Silkwood?
Let me say that again. I always approached every season finale as though it were the series finale, whether that was the first, second, or the third. I never treated any opportunity I got making this show as though there were more to come. I always tried to squeeze every little bit of juice out of the orange. So yes, I approached it as though it was going to be the series finale. And I never waited for, well, we'll do that next season. So I had sort of been not saving, but there was always in the back of my mind, like, how did they meet? And I wanted to put that in the last episode, just in case it was the last episode. And I'm really glad I did. There was also the sort of extra push of the season finale being a little bit more elevating. And in this case, it was, let's go to LA. In the end of the second season, there was a little bit of a cliffhanger. In the end of the first season, I wanted to do a Christmas episode because I said, if this is the only season I'm going to get, I want there to be a Christmas episode. That's just a trope that I want to be a part of. So yes, I approached it as though it were the series finale. We spent a lot of money on Old Friend by Stephen Sondheim from Marilyn, We Roll Along. It's a lot of money to get that song, but it was very important to me. It was a original Broadway cast recording that I would listen to in my trailer and think about how cool it was that I was doing a show with somebody who also got and loved Sondheim. So those lyrics really moved me when I was listening to them in the seasons before, and I wanted to do something that kind of epitomized that lyric of, here's to us who's like us, damn few, which was a really, really moving sentiment to me at the time. That is a show about friendship and time and getting older and getting younger and all that stuff. So anyway, that's all to say that, yes, I treated it on a large scale and I did not pull any punches by any means.
Then that feels really good because, again, me and Kellie have a different perspective watching it when it originated, when it was in 2017. And then we usually go back, well, not usually, we always go back and watch it again right before we recap it. And it's like, it felt different today. I got to say, like when I watched it, or last night rather, knowing we were going to talk to you, feeling the song. In fact, when I got set up the hour before we were going to talk to you, sans our technical difficulties, I put that song on YouTube and just let a bunch of Sondheim songs kind of come through my soul because of it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I've watched the episode so many times, but this time, because we had you, it felt like, oh, wow, like, let's really like kind of connect a little further. So it did have my mind thinking, oh, it is an ending. This is a bit of an ending. Yeah. Had you got a season 4, I would have been so happy. Your mind was ready for a season 4. Would you have, you totally were on board for that and everyone was on board for that?
I'm still on board for that. When
are we getting the reboot?
I have the same phone number as soon as Kim Cattrall signs on.
Let's do it. No, but it's so fantastic, and thank you again for taking time out of your day, like a couple of times through all of my madness today, but to chat about it, because it's definitely something that we truly appreciate, and it just meant so much to us going through the things that we have and being able to have that friend that we need to sit with. And so the goal, at least for us, you definitely achieved it, like wanting to build that world, because we definitely like to live in it.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. And I am glad to have illuminated any mysteries. And as I mentioned, it's very, very meaningful that my work has impacted you to this extent. And I just truly see you and appreciate you. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You know how nervous we were to do the show because, well, I speak for myself, because I respected the show so much. Even though it's like a snarky show, like I respected it. I'm like, this cast is a cast of casts. Like this is, and then I used to say like, what makes us qualified to do it? But we looked around. We really did. We said, nobody's covering this. Maybe because everyone's into the algorithm. But I was like, it's such a beautiful show. It's such a rich show that let's just jump on it. And then when I looked at me and Kellie, we had so many different experiences that felt like it matched. She was a publicist. I've worked in radio. And yes, it wasn't the exact same walk of those two. But I've known Kellie. Yeah.
Well, let me know what the algorithm says. I'll do something that appeals to that, for God's sake.
Oh, fuck the algorithm. I hate it. I can't. Right? That's my least favorite thing, which is why I love the episode when Julie Kessler got mad at the YouTuber. Oh, that episode, if you ever go watch it, Kellie will know the most Ronnie's gotten mad is having to watch these YouTubers tell somebody with substance what to do. I was so mad. I was so mad. Nothing wrong with the actress, but the character with Kathy Najimy's daughter.
The storyline.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Little Esther. She's a queen.
Yeah. Well, we definitely are crossing our fingers for some sort of movie reboot, something to revisit the lives of these characters again, at least one more time would be amazing.
We'll push for the reboot. We're going to keep our audience very small, but we're going to push for the reboot. Kellie, can we make Julie do something for us? Julie,
what?
Our audience is so fucking small. It's sad. And we're not getting all these positive.
Jesus, okay. Should I log off now or should you keep going?
No, you love us. It's fine, Julie. It's fine. Can you do can you do a Apple Podcast review of our show. Go.
Oh, okay. Kellie's hair is and always has been perfect. And Ronnie is also great and seems like he's a good kisser.
Oh, what that mouth do? Okay, we got to let you go. Thank you, Julie Klausner, for giving a great show. We had fun, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
My pleasure. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Kellie, okay, wrapping it up. How you feeling right now? Pretty good, huh?
I'm pretty good. Yes. I mean, like, how amazing was that? I mean, it's so great to be able to chat with someone about something so awesome, and the way that it's impacted our lives, and just really, I mean, I related it to it so much. Like when Julie got sick on an episode, so did I. I mean,
Yep.
so to be able to
That's
talk about,
true.
to just kind of live this thing has just been awesome. So I mean, it's exciting to be able to sit and know that we got it the way that it was intended. Just makes it all the better.
Before I give my thoughts, I did want to say Viridian Row, creativity never goes out of style. ViridianRow.com you could go to, that has tons of really great creative stuff, and they are supporting our podcast. There's quote t-shirts, just a bunch of things, and they've been with us from the beginning and sort of supporting our journey here. And I thought it would be nice to shout them out. You could go on their Instagram at Viridian Row to see all of their, creative arts, and then the same thing on the website, ViridianRow.com. So I just wanted to mention them before. Yeah, that was good. I mean, the thing is, like, we're just trying to do our best. I do get discouraged sometimes that, like, a lot of people who start a podcast, they sort of get to start with so much bells and whistles, you know what I'm saying? And like when you are really building it from the ground up, yeah, I made the little joke about we have a small audience, but at the same time, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. We're doing an authentic show. We're doing it the best that we can. And I don't think we've strayed from the honesty of the journey, So when it moves forward, it's just kind of nice to look back. Is that being too honest? You once said that you're supposed to fake it till you make it.
Well, I mean, I don't think honesty is never a bad thing. So, to be honest, but it's also, one of those things that I feel like, we also have to look on the bright side a little bit more. Like, it's such a fun thing. And, if people get it, they get it. I mean, sometimes right now with the way that we're doing it, we're not always able to be in a studio. Hence, I'm sitting in the car because I had some shit happen today. But that's kind of how it goes, because life is just difficult, and this is a great outlet to relate to something amazing, and for us to be able to for me to sit with my friend and chit chat about it. For the people that do listen, thank you so much. And I hope that as we move forward with different things, that it'll just be all the better, and all these episodes will just get revisited again and again.
Oh, I certainly think it will. The series itself, the Hulu series, Difficult People, definitely at some point is going to get a huge, callback where people are going to be like, I never heard of that, or I didn't watch that. And everyone's going to want to see a little more of it. And it'll be nice that at the end of the day, we will have at least a talking banter about each and every episode. It's 28 episodes. I talk positively and confidently about a lot of things, but then there's times where I don't really talk confidently because I want to express the challenges. And to me right now, the challenges are that, you do. I think I was listening to the radio recently, and like it's a commercial, and there's so many of them. It's like, insert celebrity's name here, starting a new podcast. And it's got all the bells and whistles. And I just want people to know that when you're watching and you see maybe our show out of sorts, just know that we're doing it with not a lot of resources, but we're doing it with a lot of love. And I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely DIY, and I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into doing, the technical side that you do. And it's just amazing. And it's like, that's, at the end of the day, our podcast is like Billy and Julie. We're friends that we truly, admire and, care so much, so deeply about each other. And we want to put something out in the world to show, just kind of, how it is for us. And hopefully if that's something that you can relate to, fantastic. And, we always want to, at least I do, always want to hear from you. So do those things. And, Ronnie's just always going to be Ronnie with that little bit of extra drama added in, but that's what makes me love him.
I mean, I just look at it like this. Kellie and I have known each other for so long and have had different.
Wow, look at that.
different. The photo that we're looking at is us doing a bunch of podcasts 700 years ago. And so I just want people to, if you're on the fence with you're like, oh, do we like this show? What, whatever. Just think it's on its way to getting bigger or whatever and better. And yeah, who I do keep it real. Who has the nerve to tell the creator of a show, well, no one watches our silly.
Oh my God.
But I'm just saying,
It's
what do you want? There's so many people out there that are doing the like Monday motivation hashtag. It's like, come to a place like this, which is natural and authentic, and I will not talk about Kellie's bedroom activity no more. But it really is a testament. Yes, it was a fictional show for sure. However, there is an element that I have known Kellie literally since 2003 with that bad haircut. I mean, it's incredible. Has our friendship always been like talking every day? No, there might have been gaps, a year here or whatever, but like there's also some really fantastic moments, I remember walking your dogs, that week you were out, with your publicist job, and we just have always crossed paths. And this was one that felt even bigger and better. We had some personal stuff going on in our personal lives with our family members, and it also connected, and it was similarly in time too. So I'm just really thankful that we completed this. Where the podcast will go from here, it's got so much potential. So we did it.
Absolutely.
We managed to get the creator of the show. We managed to get the creator of the.
We, like I said, such a big feat, and we appreciate the time and effort, and to be able to chat with someone and tell them, we admire you, we love your work, and and how much it's really meant to us is awesome. It really is, and and I hope people get to enjoy the conversation as much as I enjoyed just having it. And if you were to do, I'm excited to see where this podcast goes.
If you were to do a plea for a reboot of Difficult People, the Hulu series, what would you be saying? Like, this show is what? Like, how would you describe it and why it needs to come back?
I mean, this show is so on point with educating everyone and including everyone on what's actually happening in the world in such a comedic and in your face kind of way. So it's all these things that, shows are trying to do now. Difficult People was already doing it. So let's let him pick it up, pick the ball back up and take it away. Yeah.
It showed me that once Instagram sort of took off, everything was more about being polished, and you could fake your way to anything. I think what even the rapper Bow Wow, it was the Bow Wow challenge, how he said he was on a private jet, but he wasn't. Like, Instagram has made people's minds do the craziest things because they want to showcase something that's going to access them to a greater life. Billy and Julie's characters on Difficult People was the opposite of that. And I felt so connected to that. And I was just like, this is my show. Can I do 28 episodes with a dear friend? And luckily we got it done. So I feel like, yes, this sounds like a graduation speech, but I am really proud that we picked it up. I mean, there had been some shitty days amongst us trying to do this.
But we did it.
And look at you, Miss Positivity. Look at her.
We did it. Yay.
We're yin yang. I'm ready to tell somebody where to go and how to get there. And Kellie's like, we're going to be great later.
We did it, and it's amazing, and I'm so excited to see, it's just going to get better, and that's, it doesn't know where to go but up. Yeah. And that's just it.
Exactly. All right. Well, support Julie Klausner's project, which is called Double Threat. Again, their show is fantastic. The whole concept of just having friends, picking topics that make sense and that are close to them, and if you like it and you're in on the joke, great. If you're learning, that's good too. And I think it's a beautiful thing because really at the end of the day, I think Julie mentioned she had her podcast before, but that was a singular solo show, and there's just nothing better. And I have solo shows too, but there's nothing better than doing it together.
That's right. Stick around and, see where we go. And I hope I hope people stay with us to see where the podcast goes next.
All right. We're going to say goodbye for now.